Welcome back to another episode of How To with MistrMopar. Today I'm going to be changing the driver's side window regulator and the motor in my son's 2008 Suzuki Forenza. Seems to be a common thing with these Forenzas. The driver's side window does go up and down, but it fetches up. You get a bang on the door or actually pull up on the glass to help it move. So we purchased a new regulator, came with a motor, and we're going to be changing that out today. As far as I know so far, all you really need for tools to do this is a Phillips screwdriver or a Phillips bit, a 10mm socket, which I've got here, and a pair of, well, I guess I'm not exactly sure the name of them, but I call them door panel pliers, and pop the door panel off. So first thing you're going to have on the inside of the door, there's a plastic Phillips there. Loosen that up. Do not take the screw all the way out, just loosen it, and then you can pop the whole plug out. You're going to have a Phillips screw down inside the handle on the door, and then on the bottom you're going to have 1, 2, 3 Phillips screws there. Once those are all out, and you've got the one for the window switch out, you can pull the window switch out, unplug it, take it off. Then you can use your door panel pliers, get behind, pop the door panel off. We're going to do that, and then we will come back. Also going to add the little bezel around the door handle inside here. Popped right off once I started pulling the door panel off. But like, we got the screws out, I got the pliers behind it, and the whole panel comes loose. So now I believe I'm going to have to remove the little pillar window switch piece here just to get the door panel up and off the car. So I was able to just pop that off. I didn't have to actually disconnect it, just pop it down, lay it down. I was able to get the door panel up and off. And then once the door panel's off, you're going to have the plug for the trunk button. You want to unplug, move that aside. You've got to pull all the plastic off. I suggest trying to do it and keep it in one piece so you can put it back on after. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You don't really need it. It's kind of just to keep dust and stuff out of there. I'm also going to add, this is the bracket where the window switch itself and the door handle screw down into. There's 2 Phillips screws there you're going to have to take out because the plastic's actually behind them. So now that I've got the plastic off, what you're going to have to do, because you've got to be able to get to the 2, they're actually big Phillips on the bottom of the glass that hold to the regulator. You've got to plug your window switch back in and lower the glass down until the screws are in this big hole. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those screws out. I'm going to manually lift the glass back up, hold it in place, and use some painter's tape and just tape it around both sides a couple times to hold the glass up while I take the regulator that's in there out and replace it with a new one. So you can see I got those 2 screws out, and then the glass just pulls free. And now what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to put it all the way up. I'm going to use a few pieces of painter's tape around the inside, around the outside, tape it both sides just to hold the glass up in place, and that allows me to work on the regulator, removing it. And also, when you're removing the factory regulator, you see the door handle right there. That's your plug and pigtail for it, right under it there. So that's all I do to hold the glass. Just got pieces of tape. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just need to hold it while you work. And now I'm going to work on removing the old regulator, which should be 10mm. Yes, it is. So looking at it here, you're going to have 2 bolts on the top of the regulator there, or 2 nuts I should say. And I'm going to remove the window switch again. You're going to have 2 on the bottom here, and then 3 that hold the window motor and everything in place right there. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remove those. You can work the old regulator out through this hole, put the new one back in, bolt it in, plug it in, hook your window up, which I will demonstrate as I go through here. Put everything back together, you should be golden. Another little tip I'm going to add is, one, I'm wearing gloves because a lot of the edges on this new regulator are sharp. And then when I was working the new one up in there, the glass is really close to the inside. So I had to actually tip it in this direction and then stand it up this way in order to get that to go up under and clear the glass. It was a little tricky, but I've got it in there. I've got 1 nut on the bottom, 1 on the top. In place. And then try to do this one hand. Get your window motor in there. Gonna get 1 nut on there to hold that. Trying to do this with 1 hand is a little bit more difficult, but there that is. I also noticed, and double check when you got off, These are the wires for, oh geez, that actually goes to the window motor. You can see that they're a little frayed, a little bit of exposed wire, but they're not cut, so I'm just going to put some black tape around those and cover those up, because I'm assuming, like a lot of electrical things, if they were to touch at some point, it probably would fry the motor, short it out. So check your wiring, if there's anything exposed. If you have to, cut it off, get some connectors or some electrical tape, place it back together, make sure it's covered good. So I've got everything hooked up. I fixed my exposed wires, plugged it in, got my window switch plugged in. I'm just going to test this before I go any further. Look at that, works like a charm, goes up and down fast. Again, same as removal, you're going to want it roughly right there in the hole so you can get to it. So when you bring your glass back down, you can put your screws in it. I'm going to go ahead and do that and then start putting it back together. Got my new regulator in, everything's hooked up. I just wanted to add, when you're putting this back together, I almost went by it, so don't forget your little bracket to screw your window switch down into. I almost forgot that. Unfortunately, I was not able to salvage the plastic, so it's going back together without it. Everything's in, hooked up, working. So now I put the door panel on, hook the window switch and everything back up, put the pillar pod back on there, screws back in the door panel, and we're golden. Everything back together. Got my 3 screws in the bottom of the door panel, plastic push pin with the screw there, pillar pod back on, screw down in, bezel back on the window switch. I'm going to double check, confirm that it's still working properly. Boom, just like new. I like it. So, and that's how you replace the window regulator in an 04 to 08 Suzuki Forenza. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps somebody out.